All right, I think we're going to go ahead and get started this evening. Welcome to today's Building Our Community Capital Campaign Reception, and thank you for joining us here this evening. I'd like to ask Father Juan Carlos to start us with a prayer.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord Jesus, you said that when there are 2 or 3 gathered in your name, you're going to be in the midst. We thank you for being here with us this evening. We ask you to help us to open our hearts and minds to be able to receive this message, and that you may give us also the means so we may continue to work for the good of our parish, of our community. Grant this through Christ the Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Father. For those who may not know me, my name is Dave Patterson. I'm the Director of Operations and Development here at St. Elizabeth and also the chairperson for this campaign. We're excited to finally launch this capital campaign and to discuss our plan to address the needs of our growing parish community. Now, as you might guess, we are not the first parish to be dealing with some of these issues. In fact, I'm reminded of a story of another pastor of a parish who was dealing with issues very similar to ours. And after much prayer and consideration, he decided to start his weekend homily by saying, I have some good news and I have some bad news. The good news is our parish is growing dramatically. The bad news is our building and space resources are no longer adequate to meet these demands. But the good news is we have all the money that we need to build new buildings to meet the demands of our growing parish community. The bad news is it's still in your pockets. We'll have time for questions at the tail end of the presentation, so for now, just sit back and enjoy the program. At this time, I would like to introduce Brian Bedoya with the consulting firm Guidance and Giving. Brian has been helping us through the campaign, helping us with some of the logistics and the brochure and pledge cards and various items that are necessary to conduct a campaign. So I'm going to ask Brian to introduce himself and also to discuss his firm, Guidance and Giving. Brian?
Thank you, Dave. Good evening, everybody. First and foremost, I'd like to say thank you so much for being here. Time is something I can't return to any of you, so from the bottom of my heart, Father Juan Carlos, Father Enrique, and Dave, thank you for assisting tonight and taking the time to be here to hear this amazing and important news and the new mission that we're starting here at St. Elizabeth. As Dave mentioned, my name is Brian Bedoya. I'm originally from Cali, Colombia, in South America. It's actually, many people don't know, but it's the salsa capital of the world. I'm not talking about chips and salsa, dancing salsa. So every time I go to see my family and then I come back and see videos of us dancing, compared to my cousins, I literally look like a baby giraffe walking for the first time. So if you like dancing, I say go or be weary, because they're really good down there. As many know, in the early 80s and 90s, Colombia was in a big drug war with, Escobar, corruption, and all that. So my mom and dad said, we gotta get out of here. So we went to the next best place, South LA. That's where I was raised. But I was actually blessed. I went to Catholic school my entire life, from kinder all the way to 12th grade. Studied political science and public administrations in the University of Cal State Fullerton in Southern California. And right after I graduated, I found the company I work for, Guidance and Giving. And Guidance and Giving is a Catholic firm that solely works with the Catholic faith. So I've been across, I've worked in Oakland, Memphis, Houston, Laredo. I've been in San Diego, different cities, and I've worked with individual cathedrals, I've worked with diocesan plans, I've worked with parishes individually, Catholic schools as well. So I'm really happy to be here. Quick story of my first account. When I went up to Oakland, I was blessed to see a cousin over there who was going to Catholic school herself. So I went to go see her at lunch one day, and on this specific day they had a 3-course meal. They had pizza, cookies, and apples. And for some reason, on this day, the kids kept taking more than one apple. So one of the nuns put a sign right next to the apples that said, "Take one apple, God is watching." So my cousin goes, she just nudges me and goes, "Brian, take as many cookies as you like, because God's watching the apples." I've been traveling a lot with guidance and giving, and something I like to say is, the reason I love my firm is, one, I get to work with my Catholics, some of the most amazing people. And at this time, I'd like to give a quick round of applause for Father Enrique and for Father Juan Carlos, two of the most amazing priests I've worked with so far, so thank you. And then I'd like to give another round of applause to the captain of our ship, of our building our community, Dave Patterson. I've seen more than anyone working day and night, weekends, weekdays, doesn't matter if it's raining or snowing or whatever. So thank you for everything, Dave. Thank you so much. So a big reason that guidance and giving, in my opinion, is very different compared to other fundraising firms is, as many of us know, fundraising firms sometimes focus on the top 10, top 5%. It's like, let's try and get our goal by this group of people. It's not going to be like that here. With guidance and giving, we like to work with participation of everybody. As the word Catholic means, universal. We would love for everyone to, if they can, consider not just praying or promoting for this campaign, but making a pledge. But as I just mentioned, the most important for us is prayer and promotion. Inside the packet, you see there's a little prayer card. Inside of the brochure is also the prayer, so please pray with us. Pray daily, weekly, whatever it takes. But I promise you, if we have all the families, thousands of families we have here at St. Elizabeth praying for the same cause, we're going to have success. I know we are. And promotion, Father Enrique, Father Carlos, Dave and myself, we're only 4 people, to talk to so many. So please let everyone know that we want to see as many people as we can at receptions. I think as of right now, we've seen, a little over 200 people, right? Yeah, so we still have about 10 receptions to go. So we're just starting, and the idea is for people to come, and we want to be as transparent with you with what's going on, and that's our main mission. And my name is Brian Bedoya again. If there's any questions, I will be here at the end if there's anything you need. But again, the most important part is inviting our parishioners to receptions. It's very powerful when we can get together and engage as a community, especially for the future of what we want here for St. Elizabeth. And that's the most important part of my firm. It's gathering, and it's just like back in the day with Jesus and the disciples. Back in the day, everything was about just gathering. Hey, can we come over to your home? Can we come to your hall? Can we get together and pray together? And we have a big mission here at St. Elizabeth. So again, thank you so much for being here. I'll pass it on to Dave again. But if there's any questions at the end for me, let me know. Again, my name is Brian Bedoya, and thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, we'll start with a brief history lesson. We first started this campaign in 2019 as an Encountering Christ campaign, and that effort ultimately was paused it started in January, it was paused in about March or so of 2019, and then it was subsequently delayed until the spring of 2020. And just as we were preparing to get started again, COVID arrived, and the campaign once again got shut down. So here we are in 2013, finally getting this campaign started, and as they say, the third time's the charm. Our basic goal is to raise $4.9 million. Our plan consists of 4 components, each of which is very important to us to meet the needs of our growing parish community. Pflugerville is growing, the Diocese of Austin is growing, and we need to plan now for this growth in order to be certain that we'll have the space resources that we need to meet the demands of our growing parish community. Now, my family moved to Pflugerville in 1993, which means that we have been parishioners for 30 years. No anniversary gifts, please. At that time, the city limit sign read 4,444, and there were 2 buildings on this campus. The chapel, and this building right here. And a bunch of activities happened in this building. Weekend masses, religious education classes, community activities, Jamaica, now known as Fiesta, and more. This building is nearly 40 years old and needs some long overdue upgrades. Now, since this is the oldest building in our plan, it gets mentioned first out of respect for its seniority. The first component of our plan is the Parish Hall. We are going to remodel and expand the Parish Hall by first extending it south by about 30 or 35 feet. What that will do is give us more room to create new and improved restrooms. I think everyone would agree that the restrooms in this building need improvement. I can promise you, during Fiesta, there's two things that we can guarantee. One is we will have a wonderful community event, and the second is the restrooms will have an issue. So, improving the restrooms is an absolute priority in this plan. Now, I considered at this point including a bathroom joke, but I didn't want the program to go down the drain. The second thing we will do with this additional space is create a larger kitchen. Now, this kitchen was remodeled in early 2014, and while it's still suitable for some of our needs, it really is getting very tight to meet the demands of our growing parish community and the various ministries that have need for the kitchen on a regular basis. So by extending the hall, we will be able to create room for a new, larger kitchen. And we will also have an opportunity to create some additional storage that we don't currently have. The main area of the hall will then be opened up. That kitchen will go away. The old restrooms will go away. Other areas of the building will be reconfigured, and we will be able to basically double the seating capacity of this hall. We'll also take out the screens, take out the wall, and put in new doorways to be able to create a flow through this building as we have large events like Fiesta. The estimated cost of this part of the plan is $2.4 million. Now, the exact plans will be developed as part of the construction effort, but I want to show you here a basic idea of how this might look. So that's the current wall of the back of the hall. So basically, by pushing the building south by about 35 feet, we create room for new restrooms over here, a much larger kitchen over here, and new storage right here in the middle. And then we get rid of the existing kitchen, which is about right in here, the existing restrooms, basically creating a lot more seating capacity when we get rid of the screens over here to basically, as I said, double the capacity of the hall. And then we have some new doors over here to let us flow through out to this side of the campus. The second component of our plan is completing the second floor of the Religious Education Center. Now, as many of you know, the second floor was not finished when that building was built back in 2015. And while at the time we were very disappointed by that, the silver lining is that we know a lot more now than we did then. Back then, the working floor plan of the second floor was to basically mirror the first floor. But as we've used the building over these years, we've determined that that floor plan really wouldn't be the most functional use of that second floor space. So in a way, the delay has offered us a fresh look at what we need that second floor to look like. So through this plan, we will finish the second floor and make that space available for us to use. This will create more meeting rooms that can be used for a number of activities: Bible studies, faith formation, ministry meetings, and programs to strengthen our families and family life. This building is more than just our religious education center. It is increasingly being used for meetings by parish organizations and many ministries. This means that the second floor is essential to us in order to help create space to meet the demands of our growing parish. For this reason, completing the second floor is the first project that we'll tackle when we're ready to start the construction phase of this project. Although the Parish Hall is the older building, we believe that by starting with the second floor, we'll be able to more quickly create solutions to some of our space challenges that we are currently facing. The current estimates are that this component of the plan will cost approximately $1.6 million. Now, there are currently two versions of a floor plan for the second floor. And the main difference between those two floor plans is what happens in the middle of the second floor. This end, which is the one that's closest to where we are, this end, which is closest to, on the east side of the building, basically the same under both floor plans. This first floor plan I'm showing you has 6 large meeting rooms that can be used. The second floor plan has a single larger meeting room that would seat approximately 180 people, with the idea of having a partition that would divide that into 2 smaller rooms. We then have 2 rooms that would be somewhat smaller on this side of the building, and then a gathering space that would be outside that large room. This plan I find particularly appealing because by starting here, we will be able to create some space as we close the parish hall for remodeling to have functions that would be not as large a seating capacity as in this hall, but at least large enough that we could accommodate many of the functions while this hall is out of commission being remodeled. I present these plans not to decide anything tonight as much as just to indicate that these are currently a couple of the options that are being considered by the building committee, and as we work through the construction process, we'll be able to settle in on which of those approaches will make the most sense. Now, we are aware that parking and access to the REC are a challenge, and they will continue to be a challenge as we add the second floor. We are not building into this campaign a plan to deal with parking per se. We have that on our operating plan to deal with access issues to that building. So the thought being, when that building comes online with the second floor, we're going to have taken some steps to make access to that building, to improve access to that building. So we'll be able to take advantage of the fact that we have that additional space. Now these 2 projects, namely the Parish Hall and the remodel of the Parish Hall and completing the second floor of the REC, have been on our radar in one way or another since 2014 or so. So for that reason, we could have easily called this the unfinished business campaign rather than building our community. The third component of our plan is a diocesan component called Encountering Christ. Now, as I mentioned, we started this campaign in 2019 under the Encountering Christ banner. Encountering Christ is a diocesan campaign that started in the fall or the summer-fall of 2018. And the purpose of that campaign is to raise money for 4 important future needs of the diocese. Supporting our clergy, strengthening parishes, emerging disciples, including catechist training and campus ministry, and embracing discipleship, increasing programs for young adults, Catholic charities, and support for the Cedar Break Retreat Center. Now, we are the last parish in the diocese to complete this campaign, or as I like to say, saving the best for last. Now, we have always been supportive of diocesan campaigns, and in fact, we are very close to meeting our Catholic Services appeal goal for the last year, the campaign that happened in October of last year. The diocese is so supportive of us and do so many things to support our parish on a day-to-day basis, a week-to-week basis, and they do the same thing for all the parishes in the diocese. So it's very important that we respond to the bishop's appeal to complete this Encountering Christ diocesan campaign. Now, our obligation to the Encountering Christ campaign of the diocese is approximately $900,000. And you can find more details regarding Encountering Christ by visiting the Diocese of Austin website. Now, there are a few benefits that we have by partnering with Encountering Christ. We do not pay cathedraticum on the campaign funds that we raise. The diocese is paying a portion of our mailing and printing costs, and the diocese is handling the pledge redemption process, which includes mailing statements, monthly statements and reminders, and also the year-end tax deduction letters that folks need. Now, this means that we won't have to use a lot of our staff resources to track the ongoing redemption phase of the campaign, which is a very helpful thing for us that the diocese is doing that. This partnership also creates a couple of procedural issues, which I'll touch on a little later. So to summarize, these three components total our basic goal of $4.9 million. Now, those of you who are paying attention will say, but wait, I thought you said that there were 4 components. That's only 3. Well, fasten your seatbelts, because this is where it really gets fun. The 4th component of our plan is a new 7,500 square foot building just to the south of the Parish Hall. We're calling this building the Community Center. Now, depending on this campaign and the ongoing growth of the parish, this may become a current project sooner, or it may become a future or phase 2 element for us to complete. We've included it in this plan because it's an important piece of the vision for the parish. We do not have very many places where large meetings can be held. This community center would provide a great alternative location for larger meetings and functions, and would help relieve some of the demand on this building and some of our current scheduling challenges. We often receive requests for more than one function in the parish hall on a given weeknight or weekend. And currently, of course, we can only accommodate one of those requests. With the addition of this community center, we would basically double our ability to satisfy these requests. The community center would also have an area for our high school and middle school youth to gather and continue to grow in their faith. Just think of the possibilities. We could have a retreat coexisting with a parish Sunday breakfast. We could have 2 non-competing ministry functions happening at the same time during the same weekend. We could reduce or eliminate our tent rental costs for Fiesta, and we could provide additional events and faith formation activities. This additional building would provide options beyond anything that we have had in the past. The current estimate for this component of the plan is approximately $2.4 million. So what that means is if we exceed our basic goal, this is the next step that we would tackle. Now again, the exact plans are to be developed during the construction phase, but this will give you an idea of what we're thinking about with this community center. A large area that would seat approximately 300 people, an area for our youth to gather, restrooms and some storage areas there. Now this is the back of the remodeled Parish Hall. That would be a distance of probably about 15 feet or so between the 2 buildings. So we would have a sidewalk there, a covered walkway that would make it much easier to get from one side of the campus to the other. And again, we would have doors on this side of the community center to make it easy to get out to that side of our parish. As the parish grows, we must provide the space that we need in order to execute programs for the benefit of all of our parishioners. This new community center would provide just another resource for us to meet those needs. Now, as I mentioned, this might become a future project depending on the success of this campaign, but we believe it's important to talk about this building because we have to think long-term. We can't only think about our needs today. We have to also be planning for the future, or else we'll always be playing catch-up with the ongoing demands and needs of our parish community. So this building is a piece of that long-term plan. Now, the estimated construction cost figures that we've been discussing this evening are all in today's dollars. So since these costs will likely increase due to inflation over time, it's imperative that we meet our goal so we can begin the construction phase of this project sooner rather than later. Now, we don't have to wait until all the pledges are collected. We simply have to have the pledges so we can then know where we are financially, where we anticipate we'll be financially, in order to be able to move forward with construction. So, assuming that we do not have to deal with any uncontrollable construction delays, our plan would be to begin construction on the 2nd floor of the REC by the end of this calendar year. Now, a basic way to donate to this campaign is through a pledge. For your convenience, there's a pledge card and a return envelope in your packet. Now, I know Brian mentioned a lot about his background, but I don't think that he mentioned to you that he's basically the David Copperfield of guidance and giving. And as an aspiring magician, he has created for us a magic pledge card that has the ability to turn your money into St. Elizabeth's. Now, we have officially started accepting pledges, so you're certainly welcome to make a pledge this evening if you would like. But if you prefer to wait, we ask that you submit your pledge within the next couple of weeks so we can track the progress of our campaign and so we can continue to keep the momentum going on this effort. The active phase of the campaign will be concluding on our commitment weekend, which is May 20th and 21st. Now, there are a couple of items to note related to the pledge card. First, you'll notice in the middle of the front side of the card, there's a section regarding the frequency of your pledge payments. Now, since this is a 5-year campaign, the payment amounts will be calculated over the 5-year period. So if you would prefer to have a different duration for your pledge, a shorter duration, 4 years or 3 years or something like that, please make a note of that whenever you turn in your pledge card so we'll know how to calculate your total pledge amount. Second, if you're making your initial payment via credit card, debit card, or direct withdrawal, there's a place on the back side of the card where you can indicate that information so we can begin that process. That could either be for an initial payment or to begin making a monthly payment if you were so inclined. Checks can be made payable to Building Our Community or to St. Elizabeth, and they can be addressed to our address here at the church. Now, there are some federal income tax advantages that can be obtained by appropriately planning the timing of your donation and the assets that you use to make your donation. But while a detailed discussion of those issues are beyond the scope of this reception, I'd be happy to visit with anyone who would like to explore some creative options down that path. Now, it's important to mention a couple of technical points related to our partnership with Encountering Christ. First, as I mentioned, the diocese is going to be processing all of the pledges. For that reason, we ask that you return your completed pledge card here to us at the office in the envelope provided so that we can make note of the pledge amounts before we submit them to the diocese. Again, that will help us monitor the progress of the campaign. Second, your ongoing payments will be processed by the diocese, so they'll be the ones sending monthly reminders or the reminder frequency that you have selected. And third, for any electronic payments that you would like to make, there's a specific online giving link for our capital campaign. This link is available on our capital campaign page of our website. There's also a handout in your materials that have the URL, and the URL is also mentioned right here. It's a givecentral.org website. Now, while this may sound a little bit cumbersome, it's actually quite helpful for us that the diocese is handling the redemption phase of this campaign. As monies are received, the diocese will retain their portion toward the Encountering Christ goal and then remit our portion to us until such time as the Encountering Christ goal has been satisfied, and then we will begin receiving all of the monies. The handling of the dollars are a 50-50 sharing, so every dollar that comes in is shared 50-50 toward Encountering Christ and toward our campaign. Once we've satisfied that $900,000 obligation for Encountering Christ, all the monies will come to the parish. And that's a better sharing ratio than under the 2019 campaign when we first started, so that's actually a good thing for the parish. Now, this chart lists several different total pledge amounts and how those amounts might be divided over the 5-year pledge period. Now, obviously, these are just suggested donation levels for you to consider. Really what this means is I was sitting in front of a spreadsheet and had a little free time, so I created some numbers. We need everybody's pledge to help us achieve our goal. Whether you pledge $30,000, $20,000, $10,000, any amount that you would like to pledge. No amount's too large, no amount is too small. While this is a 5-year campaign, you can make your pledge over a shorter period if you would prefer to do so. This campaign is about involvement. These receptions are just the first of a series of efforts to promote this campaign. We've mailed invitations to every registered family, inviting them to attend a reception, just like this one. And so far, as Brian mentioned, the results have been very positive. Everyone who attends a reception will receive the same materials that you've received here today. Anyone who's not able to make it to a reception will have campaign materials mailed to them along with a pledge card. We'll be discussing this campaign in our bulletin, on our website, and through social media, and in the masses, right up until our commitment weekend on May 20th and 21st, when everyone will have an opportunity to make a pledge during the masses that weekend. By the end of this effort, about the only person who won't know about building our community is Rip Van Winkle. Now, our goal is for 100% of our registered families to make a pledge and a contribution to this campaign. And we will do what we can to make sure that everyone has that opportunity. As Brian mentioned earlier, pray, promote, and pledge. Everyone who attends a reception will receive a thank you letter from Father Juan Carlos, and that letter will include a range of amounts that he would like you to consider in making your pledge. This is simply a suggestion which may or may not be right for you and your family. We're not going to tell anybody what to pledge. You need to decide what that amount can be. What I'm asking you to do is please pledge what you can. Our family's making a pledge, and I ask that you do the same. This campaign will absolutely succeed if we all make a sacrificial gift for our future, the future of our families, and for the future of our parish. This campaign is not about building. It's about meeting our needs. In real estate, the old saying is location, location, location. Well, for this campaign, it's space, space, space. Space for prayer and worship. Space for sacraments. Space for ministries. Space for meetings. Space for choirs. Space for community. Sometimes I think I sound like Captain Kirk from Star Trek. Space, our next frontier. This is the capital campaign of St. Elizabeth Parish. Our 5-year mission to explore exciting new programs, to seek out new parishioners and new ministries, to boldly go where this parish has never gone before. Cue the music. It's exciting to hope and to believe that we can accomplish something that we have never accomplished before. And with a solid plan and your support, we can make this happen. We are ready. The growth of our parish says we need to be ready. Are you ready to support Father Juan Carlos and Father Enrique and help this campaign succeed? The time is now. The decision is yours. I'd like to ask Father Juan Carlos to come up and share some comments.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for taking the time to be here at the Building a Community campaign. So it's important that you're here because we're working together for the good of the community. As pastor, I came here in 2019. I was at the diocese before, and then I came here as a pastor. And when I came, these were no good times because that's when the pandemic hit. You know, we were about to start with the capital campaign, and then the pandemic started. And it was kind of hard because it was kind of hard for me to get to know the people of the community. So these were tough times. And then some of the staff resigned, and I don't know if that was providential because we didn't have the money. So I think it was providential because some of them resigned, and then we kept with a very short staff, and then later on we were able to hire the staff that we needed. So thank God we were able to hire the staff that we need, and they are the ones who have been a blessing for our parish now. So when I came also, there were some of the challenges, some of the needs that we had. The parking was just resurfaced. So it was redone not too long ago. And then the chapel was painted, the narthex was also redone as well. We put some screens there, little things like that. But now with the larger staff that we have, we started some work at the PMC. So they're working, remodeling the building, part of the building. And then we're going to move the offices there. So that's some of the work that we have been doing. So I think we are moving in the right direction. And so Father Enrique and I were so excited about this campaign because there are other needs. I hear Sabrina all the time. She's the one in charge of the calendars of the parish. So she's always struggling to fit ministries in the small rooms or in the few rooms that we have in the parish. So she's the one who struggles just to accommodate all the ministries in our parish. So there is a need, for more classrooms, more building, more bigger rooms to accommodate the different ministries of our parish. So that there were other people who were working here at the parish before. Some of you, I don't know, some of you might be here might have been here when they built the first church. I don't know, you were here at that time. Father Tom Frank, and then Father Kevin Ray that were here, and then many other priests. But they built the old church, and then they built this building. They built the church, the PNC, the new building, and that was done with a lot of sacrifice. A lot of people who sacrifice so we can have this legacy. This is a legacy to us. It's a blessing to us. So now it's our turn. It's our time so we can be a legacy for the future generations as well. So we are the ones who are going to with the help of God, we're going to make possible what Dave spoke about, the needs of our parish, to meet the needs of our parish. So I myself, I'm making a pledge. When I was at the diocese, I was there, I was part of the Encountering Christ campaign. So I made a pledge at that time, and I asked the diocese to transfer that pledge here to the parish. And now I'm making another pledge, because I love St. Elizabeth community, and I want to see that dream that we have to make it possible. So I ask you to please support the community, especially now that we have these great needs. So support our Building Our Community campaign. And I appreciate everything that you do for our parish. Thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting our parish.
Thank you, Father. And now we'll have about 10 minutes or so for a few questions. If anybody has questions, I'll maybe ask Ryan to come up, and also Father Juan Carlos, if you would come back up in case there's any questions that anybody has that we can try to answer for you. And then I'll ask Father Enrique to come up after we're done with that so he can make some comments as well. Any questions? All right. Yes, sir.
You said you were going to open up the area over here. Where's the food? Is the food pantry still going to be over here, or is that moving to a separate location?
The food pantry will stay where it is. We'll actually probably be able to give them a little more space, but they'll generally stay in the same area. Yeah. That's a good question. Anything else that's on your mind? Okay. Father Enrique.
I think you got a question.
Oh.
Why can't we make the food pantry all that area right there and move the religious articles from, another location? That would be enough room for refrigerators and stuff like that for the pantry.
Yeah, we're definitely going to consider the needs of the pantry in all of this, because they're outgrowing their space just as everybody else on the campus is outgrowing their space. And it's a good point. We will definitely consider how to best use the space here in the hall to accommodate the St. Vincent de Paul, the food pantry, and all of those good efforts for sure. Yeah. Anything else? Going once, going twice.
Thank you, Dave. Well, I think everybody knows here, I'm Father Enrique. I've been here for almost 2 years, and this is my first parish. If you didn't know that, so I was already a priest, and I was assigned here. And so, for me, it's been such a joy to be here. I always heard that your first parish is the one that teaches you how to be a priest. Kind of heard that in seminary a lot, and I have found that to be true. And I don't mean parish in this like ethereal sense, like, oh, the building is teaching me, but it's you the parishioners who have taught me how to be a priest. And you really are an amazing community that I've also grown to love very much, and I learned a lot from you, and again, on how to be a priest. Also, when I got here, I got to see, I think it was kind of like coming out of the pandemic, so I've gotten to see this parish just like increasing numbers, and it's just very exciting. Also, some of the stuff that Father Juan Carlos was talking about regarding the staff, like when I got here, we were really in dire need of hiring more people, and I got to see just like, I don't know if we doubled our staff, but we hired like a ton of people, and just, it's been very exciting for me to see. I don't know if like a newly ordained priest gets to see all that happen at their first assignment, and then on top of that, now we have a capital campaign, and just need for space, and so it's super exciting just to kind of see our parish grow, and to see these awesome projects, and that I get to be a part of them. One thing that I invite you to consider, maybe more like on a spiritual note, is just, what is, like, in God's providence, like, what am I being a part of, right? Like, God is causing, and just demographics, but also like the hand of God is in all of this, right? Is causing this area to grow a lot, right? And you happen to geographically live in this area, and so, and God wants, the good news to be spread, the gospel to grow, people to love Jesus and give our lives to Him, right? And so, insofar as we live here and this place is growing and there's a need for the gospel to be spread, what is my role in this, right? What is the Lord inviting me to, and what is the Lord inviting us as a parish in regards to ministering to the needs of the people in this area of the Diocese of Austin? And that has to do partly with a capital campaign, because ultimately this space is for the sake of the spreading of the gospel, not just for the sake of space. But also even outside of the capital campaign, like what is the Lord inviting me to do in being His disciple, as this area grows. I'm like Father Juan Carlos, I'm making a pledge myself, and because I really think this is, I believe in this project, and I think it's a good project. So I invite you to prayerfully consider what can I pledge, what am I able to pledge, and then also to invite others to know that these are some good projects that we're working on, and to come learn if they haven't come to a reception, or if they have or they can't, explain to them what we're doing, and then to support it as well. Thank you for being here, and on the note of prayer, we can, if you would like, we can say that the capital prayer campaign, the capital campaign prayer. It's in the back of your big brochure, also there's like a small little card there. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Father, you call each of us by name, and ask us to follow you. You invite us as a community of faith to be born into your will. Grant, we pray, an abundance of your grace, as we give sacrificially to the work of our parish. And we soon gaze upon our efforts with joyful hearts, having achieved our goals in the pursuit of holiness. Help our parish to be true witnesses to the gospel to everyone we encounter. We ask this through our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, God, forever and ever. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Father. And thank you all for joining us this evening. As Brian mentioned, your time is very valuable. We know you could have spent the last hour anywhere you would have wanted to. So we really appreciate your being here to learn about our campaign and the needs of our parish. I'd like to also echo Father's comment about our amazing staff, one of whom is in the kitchen, Sabrina Perez, if she wants to come out. Or not. She's responsible for this fine reception. Is it there? She is there. Fine reception and all the goodies that you have. So we really appreciate that. We are so blessed to have a wonderful staff to meet your needs as parishioners. So thank you and good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.